What's going on, Tamers? Welcome to DigiPod, the digital podcast. I'm your boy Varney, today in the studio with only my boy Dan. Adrian
only Dan
is
today.
Not feeling it because Adrian's work has been kicking his ass, and Mike is currently traveling for work. So two boys at DGU tied up by work, and two boys at DGU just, doing DGU things, I guess.
Yeah, we're the consistent foundation of DGU.
Let's see. Last episode was Nationals. We pretty much shirked everything just to talk about Nationals because that was such a big topic. But there was so much more news that came out of Bandai Card Game Fest. So if you are a loyal listener of DigiPod, first of all, we thank you. But you guys are in for a treat today. Just because I didn't want to overload one podcast with too much information because there was just so much to talk about. I wanted to make sure we hit everything that we wanted to talk about. So we may be a week or a week and a half, 2 weeks late talking about it. But if you do listen to us on a consistent basis, we are never too late. And I think quality is more important than getting it out there on time, especially considering that not many people have really spoken about it. I don't think. I've seen a couple things here and there. I think DigiPanda is probably the one who's talked about it the most. I haven't
For sure.
I haven't really seen it on anybody else's channel.
I think Mario's
mentioned it, right?
Talked about it. Channel wise, like YouTube, I feel like not many. I probably Russ Mara probably mentioned it because he always does like the daily post for like community post. Probably talked about it. Probably I don't even think Eggman did really. No, I think it was just talked about in Facebook, maybe. I don't remember the Facebook group if anybody's in that.
There might have been a post, but like honestly, like it wasn't even like that big a thing. Like y'all know me, I'm on Facebook like every day when it comes to the group, and I don't remember any big conversations about it. And we've spoken about it in the past.
The Discord we talked about. So like anybody who's in the Discord, you already know we kind of like talked about it a bit, probably a lot. I think maybe. I think we're gonna try to go even more detail what our thoughts and opinions on it in this pod, obviously. But that's about it. You're right. Like it was like talked about, but like not really because they already spoiled it. What was it when they had the 40 card announcement?
When we got during that time frame full of leaks,
during that time. So they already talked about it then. So I feel like everybody kind of like talked about it. It was like, all right, cool, unification, blah blah. Then we got more news of it, more details of it, and that's kind of like where we are when it comes to it.
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing. Obviously we did speak about it previously, and it was in the mix of all that other news. But today's podcast, we kind of want to delve into it, especially because like on TikTok, I posted about it, and we definitely had some people with strong opinions. And I mean, we have poll results that we had asked as a result of that podcast which was 2 episodes ago, which actually are perfect, and they tie right into this topic. So we figure what better way to talk about global unification and to bring all of it together into one podcast. So, that's going to be us today. But before we do that, locals, what's up? I didn't go. Dan, did you win?
I did win it. It's been a while since I won it with local because I've always been getting like second or losing the finals and then getting bounced to fourth, or like, how it is when you lose. And Bandai tournaments is just the most craziest asinine thing in the world sometimes. Anyways, I got a dub. I was playing Digimon. Went back to the roots. I swear after playing it in locals, I wish I would have thought about it more pre-nats and like in our like grind fest we were doing, because I remember my mentality was if Black or Gray Monster's slow, I'm sure Digimon is slow. I'm not even gonna bother touching it. But I made a lot of changes to the deck that I wish I would have. It was stuff I already talked about doing, but I never got to it, and then we just went down the rabbit hole of the grind for Nats for like the last 2 months. So I never really got to it. And so one of the big changes I was planning to do because of Leviathan, because of Yellow Vaccine, cards like Chaos Degrade, Digimon has no outs to those cards. So the goal is to play the Command package. So what that entails is the new BT14 Command and High Command. So you go into your stack. They both have the same inheritable. If this Digimon were to leave the battlefield, you can delete another Command instead, right? So on paper, sounds great. In practicality and actually playing it actually became way better than I thought it was going to be. And as crazy as this sounds, it gave the deck more consistency. And what I mean by that is Command on-play effect is you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you grab any like D Brigade or D Police card added to your hand. And now you could put the rest of the cards on the top or bottom of your deck. And that became very, very important for Machinimon, because how many times you looking for a piece like that type of deck where it's like you need that Machinimon, you need that Chaos Dramon, and you just can't get to it. You just have to draw yourself out of it and like hope till you get to it. Now with the Command, I'm like, all right, cool. Look, Analog Man, I need that card. That's gonna be my top card. I'm gonna put the card at the top, and then next turn I draw into it or something like that. So that ended up becoming very important. And even if I whiffed on the D boys, I almost didn't care about it at that point. It's like, all right, cool. What's my top 5 cards? Are they good? I'll keep it and rearrange the way I want it. If not, I'll just bottom deck it and then continue going. Because Machinimon, when you like start popping off, you can go through your deck pretty fast. You got the Machinimon that's going to look at the top 5, add potentially 2 cards, trash the rest. Then you go into like Chaos Dramon, add sources to it, Chaos X, activate the Machinimon effect again. So that's 10 cards just in that, and that's without the evoing part. So plus the evo, that's what you got. You're digging what 13 cards about, I think it is, if you think about it, for each evo. So you go Machinimon 1, 5, 6, evo Chaos. That's 7. Chaos X 8 plus another 5. That's 13 cards about, right? So that you could go through your deck pretty fast sometimes with Machinimon, especially if you go in that combo. Another card that added to it that was really good, better than I even like thought it was going to be, was Dramon. I had put in 2 Dramon because just as I saw I had, but because I was playing the Command package, I was going 4 Command 2 of the 2-drop Command, because that card actually became very good too, because like you're in weird situations, sometimes you don't want to give them that much memory, and boom, you're at 1, you drop it for 1. Now you have that protection plus another body. And you just don't, sometimes that's just an extra aggression. And like, it's kind of funny. There was times I was just going wide. I had a Machinimon stack and I was like, Command, High Command. One point I had like 5 bodies on board. You don't do that in Machinimon at all, ever. You worry about the 1 stack and sometimes you get a second stack. But like with that, now your opponent has to worry about the rest of the Commandmons. And then you also got to deal about the giant stack of a monster that is, Machinimon Chaos, whatever you want to call it. Right, so Dramon was great because, like, let's say you're going first. If you got nothing, that's a 4-cost drop for a trash 1, draw 2. That's not that bad compared to a 5-drop like playing Guardramon or something, right? Where it has no on-play effects, or even what else? Anything else that was a low 4 that had nothing going on.
The only other one was Tankmon.
Newmon wasn't bad. Newmon is like, all right, you drop 3, that doesn't feel as bad, but at least you get the draw too. So it's like Kagurumon, even a bigger body. So if they put you out now, if you go second and that's all you play is you're at 1, you put them at 3, not bad at all, right? If you're at 2, put them at 2. If you're at 3, you put them at 1. So it never feels bad, the card. Then it has the inheritable to pop a low 3. So like the occasional board control you need to go on, like maybe they had like an annoying floodgate, evo swing when attacking, pop something, and you just keep it moving, which also came up pretty important as well. What else I changed? I put in 2 in trainings. That became phenomenal. I'm at 2 memory, go to Machinimon for 1. Because of the in training, go into Chaos for 1, and like that's all. I'm chilling, you know what I'm saying? I'm right there. I don't have to be stuck going to a Machinimon and then pass and turn. And then it's like, oh crap, they just blew up my Machinimon. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because BT11 has no protection. There was a lot of things. And then I threw in the new BT14 Mega Dramon. This is why I say I wish I would have play tested it because of the newest matchup. That Heritable is when attacking, kill something 5k or less. A lot of Anubis bodies. You do the full Anubis combo. You get like a Saber Dramon or something, plus maybe Dober. Those are all 5k. Obviously Soulmon, that changes, so you gotta use a different type of deletion effect. But like you get the point, right? It's an extra.
Right.
You swing. If you have multiple deletion stuffs, you can just pop off and like kill the board. So yeah, so round 1 I played against Beelstar. I won that 2-0. Game 1 I got to the Chaos stack pretty quickly. He couldn't deal with it because he didn't see the blue option to strip all sources. So that was good for me. And then game 2 he kind of brick out. Beelstar is weird in this iteration because like you're playing so much Garuru stuff that sometimes you just kind of brick because you don't get the right pieces for the Beelstar to go off.
Garuru.
Exactly. I literally watched this man hard drop Metal Garuru Ace. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks for all the memory. You know what I'm saying? He kind of bricked, and then I kind of went off, and he couldn't do much with it. He was even like trashing everything. He just didn't see the Beelstar, I think it was. I don't remember. But anyways, won that 2-0. Round 2, I played against Leomon. That was kind of a little difficult because heavy Leo with the, Digivolve
and
it's pretty hard. Great thing about that, Chaos Shaman's Digivolve 3. So even that they had the heavy Leo, you take out heavy Leo, you take out the level 5, you take out the 4, you put him to rookie, kill the rookie, and then those inheritables won't matter, which ended up being what helped. Plus having the small bodies to drop. Now he was kind of worried about those because if they're swinging, I'm swinging with a giant stack of multiple securities. Now he has to worry about his neg effects on those small bodies instead. Also, EX01 Machine Dramon comes through clutch because they can't neg you. Like Bancho Leomon, all right, cool.
It's a timeless Machine Dramon.
I had Chaos X, Chaos Dramon, BTL Machine Dramon, and then like I tucked in the regular Machine EX01 Machine Dramon. So like that stack was like the most. It was the most busted stack you could have.
Unkillable stack.
Yeah, basically, especially in that matchup. Obviously, he could have just Digivolved me, and I'm F. But I was kind of playing around the Digivolve, so that was also good. And then I ended up winning 2-1. What else? And then round 3, I played against Grace Nova for the finals. Dianamon's a problem in that deck for Machine Dramon. you just he went Source Strip 5 for the first Dianamon, tucked Dianamon back underneath, Source Stripped again, another 5. So my Chaos X was, I was like, all right, cool, this is great. Luckily for me, Analog Man was on board, so like he could swing, but I could just redirect to that, and then I was able to just. It's not hard to deal with it, even though it's like, oh, Dianamon is an instant counter, but like it's not that hard to deal with it because it's like you bring out another one, and it's like, all right, cool, I'll just build up, chaos, kill. That's essentially what happened. Won that 2-0. He actually it was funny, game 1 or 2, I don't remember what it was. He got me down to 0 security before I even like did damage to him. And now I was like, all right, deal with my Chaos Dramon now. And he just could never get around it because
the Machine Dramon way.
The blocking,
take all my security, but you can't get rid of my stack.
With all the blocking and redirects and then the amount of inheritables I had and stuff, it was pretty funny. Grace Nova, it's not bad. I was kind of like discrediting it, I guess, a bit because I was like,
it's mainly because it's one of those in-set archetype built decks that, unlike Examon, where like Examon thrived because it had a core Dramon that you could play prior that was really good. And even without that core Dramon, Slayer Dramon alone was good enough. Grace Nova is good, but it's not consistent.
Right.
I mean, Examon also suffered from that in its time. I know. But we thrived because we had a Davis and we had the core Dramon, which fixed a lot of our inconsistency problems. Grace Nova, there's just no way to get around its inconsistency until you get the extra 2 pieces. And the new Ukomon if you decide to play that, because that new Ukomon is dumb for any deck. Like,
yeah, he was running Ukomon in his deck, and it kind of helped him as well with the little combos he was able to do. I kind of just didn't realize. I didn't realize like the combos you could do with it. Like, let's say you have the Lunamon back.
Yes.
Drop Firemon, right? So you give them turn. They don't deal with the Firemon. They come back. Lunamon effect, bounce it back, gain 2 memory. Evo into the Firemon again, get another search.
Yep.
You can with the Lunamon's effect, bottom deck the fire, not bottom deck, put them underneath.
Evo for it, I guess.
Evo for like 1, and at this point you're like doing all that, and you're like at 4 memory or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, this is cool. This could go crazy.
Ukomon, it's even more cracked.
Yeah. And so like he was just popping off like that. He had like the full combos with it. And he got to the Grace Nova. I was like, how do I deal with that? I was like, oh wait, Chaos Dramon, here you go. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't an issue for me when it came to the Grace Nova. He did like deal with whatever my board state was at that moment, but like I was able to prepare because he had to I think hard Evo is, so he put me at 6. So I had an in training.
Hard Evo Grace Nova, that's tough.
I had an in training and in training. I think I was at a rookie year champion, so I just raised up and like went full combo, Chaos Dramon, and then BTA Mel Greymon swing over the stack, GG, basically for that. But Machine Dramon felt pretty good with the new additions.
Yeah, I mean it had what 2 top 32s, was it?
Top 64s. I don't remember their builds, but I don't think they had the Commandremon's package going on in it. I really wish I would have like play tested to see how prior to Nats and see if it was something to consider, because it felt really good. And I played, decks that would have been Nats and did pretty well, honestly, especially the Beelstar stuff. And like I'm sure like the Beelstar is basically like Guru, right? So like it's like, all right, I can understand how to deal with this in a Guru matchup. It was just Guru as well, you know what I'm saying? Because so, and then the only other thing I never got a chance to play was Anubis, and I can imagine how that could work if it goes right, you know what I'm saying? Like the issue would be Levia, obviously, but that's the whole point of having the Commandremon stuff. Because the great thing, let's say if I have just Chaos stack plus a plus 1 Commandremon. If I have high Commandremon in the stack, I don't really need a high Commandremon for the protection, because Levi states you have to target the lowest and highest. So it just immediately will touch the Commandremon without worrying about the protection. But like if I needed it, it's there for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And obviously Yellow Vaccine, which I played at Nats, Yellow Vaccine is there for that matchup as well, because if they try to Angemon, tuck it to security, hey, Commandremon, delete Commandremon instead, saves protection.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it felt pretty good, and I can't imagine what BT15 support is going to feel like as well.
Yeah, Marvin Jackson, baby. Just reinforces, I want my 60 card decks. It's a pipe dream, but hopefully one day we'll get there. Maybe. So I feel obligated to mention this as you talk about, thinking about Machine Dramon for Nats. So like number 1, I can't remember who said it. Somebody said it, and they're kind of just like, since Bagger Army got top 64, they're kind of just like, play whatever you want. You don't have to play meta to enjoy the game. And that's true, right? Even if you're a competitive player. It's just the thing about it is, obviously playing the meta deck, the tier 1 deck, the best deck in format, gives you the best chances of winning the tournament. And what won the tournament? Anubismon, right?
For sure.
But for me, a very close second was Red Hybrid. And a few Red Hybrids did top, and obviously in Oceania, what was that? Like, I think it was 7 out of 16 Red Hybrid tops. We still had, I think, 3 Anubismons or so. So, it's a thing
and
about
Anubis still won, though, that one as well.
Yeah, Anubis still won. So, like, definitely, play what you enjoy. Like, if you enjoy playing meta, you enjoy playing meta. I did actually, if I hated Anubismon, I'll be real, I wasn't going to take Anubismon. Because I was talking about this with Ian the night before. He was like, why don't you play Red Hybrid if you feel that strong? And I was like, because fuck Red Hybrid. I hate that deck. I'd never play that deck. I tried it. I did. I got so excited for another hybrid deck. I played it and I was like, oh, ew, get this away from me. But Anubismon I played and I was like, okay, this is dumb, but I like it. It's like Beelzemon. Beelzemon, I think, was like my first touch of an aggro deck in Digimon, I guess. Back when it was before the Impmon was restricted. It was literally just Unga Boonga, mill. Okay, cool, Beelza X combo for game type thing. And I loved playing Beelzemon. And I had only played it because I was excited for new support for my jank ass Creepymon mill deck. Before Millith was a thing, I was playing my jank ass Creepymon mill deck that featured, Chaos Mode, Creepymon, and the whole Megidramon package of milling my opponent out. And then Beelzemon came out, and like I put in some of the pieces, and I was just like, you know what? Why the fuck don't I just play Beelzemon? Forget about milling my opponent and just mill myself and get the benefits of milling myself. And I fucking loved it. So if you enjoy a deck, play it. Especially when it comes to Nats. That's something I will be thinking about next year. I don't even know what our Nats are going to be like for next year because it should be BT20.
I'm not nowhere near even thinking about this. Talking about Nats.
Right, exactly. It's like BT20 is about what that Nats will be, and we still got BT 17, 18, 19, 20, and EX7 and 8.
Yeah.
That's 6 sets that need to be revealed.
I'm still on the cool down from that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy like the decks I've been wanting to build and like re-update, like Edamon, Fish Swarm, Machinedramon. Machinedramon was number 1 for me, and like build other decks as well. So I'm not even thinking about Nats. I'm just enjoying like the decks I've been playing right now and just seeing what I like and dislike with them going forward. But
well, I'm gonna make you think about Nats a little bit more because we got a comment on YouTube, and this is what I felt obligated to tell you about. And the comment was, I don't know why, but it always irks me when players explain their loss by I bricked. I didn't see my pieces. I only lost because my opponent saw everything. Like, it's never, you just got outplayed.
I saw that comment. I wanted to reply, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to let it go.
And so, because this is going up on YouTube, and if you made this comment, Arlantis, you'll be watching this podcast if you are. I'll reply to it here. I'll be the first to tell you if I got outplayed, I did not get outplayed in... The only match I got outplayed in was my Red Hybrid loss, and it wasn't a skill level outplay, it was deck level outplay. It was literally, oh shit, Red Hybrid was faster than I was, but I did win against 2 Red Hybrids. I didn't expect to win against 2 Red Hybrids out of the 3 that I faced all weekend. So, frankly speaking, like when it comes to skill level, like, no, the skill level for Red Hybrid ain't there. I mean, it's just not there. And when it comes to the mirror, I know I've got that mirror. I've played so many games of the mirror between playtesting with other people in the Tamers Battle League, between just in general, since we started playtesting all the way back in November, or was it December? Whatever it was.
December, but November we was cooking. Like we were starting to cook and just figuring out what we were doing. There was 3 months
of prep, and I was so confident in the mirror. And I mean, I lost the first game of my first mirror because of a biting crush. And the second game, I literally just wasn't able to play the game. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact. It's not me saying, anything other than, well, I couldn't play the game. And because I couldn't play the game, my opponent won. And then in my second mirror, it was the same exact thing. I lost the first game because of a biting crush insecurity. I won the second game, and then I lost the third game because I literally couldn't play the game. And in my other Anubismon matches, I believe I played at least 1, if not 2 other... No, I played at least 2 to 3 mirrors cumulatively, and I took all of my mirrors outside of those 2 that I lost because I wasn't able to play the game. So, like, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's definitely... I can understand why you would be upset when somebody says that. But at the same time, if you listen to us on a regular basis, you'll know I'll be the first to say when I lost because I lost. I didn't lose because of skill gap. That's all I'll say there. I I legitimately did lose because I was not able to play the game. I didn't say not because my opponent saw everything. I said because I wasn't able to play the game. That's just the fact of the situation. I get outplayed by Dan on a regular basis.
Vice versa.
I lose some games other matches.
There's definitely games where each other we just ended up outplaying each other because we just saw whatever we saw and so like, oh yeah, I already know how this is gonna go. Blah 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 blah. It is what it is. I ain't gonna say that I've never got outplayed. That's impossible. But when it came to my Nats run, I know what it looked like to be outplayed, and that didn't happen.
Right.
If you want to say my misplay for the Crimson Blaze versus Pillowmon was being outplayed,
that was egregious.
That was more of a misplay on my part, and I owned up to it. It's not like I didn't say, it was my opponent's fault that I played Pillowmon, and
God damn it, my opponent saw everything, and I just had to play Cubemon instead of this Crimson Blaze.
That wasn't like me like try and make an excuse for that. I own up to it. I said it in pod last year. It was like what I should have done. I had the Crimson Blaze. I should have did the Crimson Blaze, give him 6, and then let him do nothing basically because all he's gonna do is Evo up anyways. And I explained my reasoning why I went with the Pillowmon route, and it wasn't like it was a sound reasoning. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. The play should have been the Crimson Blaze because he had the out for it, right? Obviously. But
I saw that mentioned in Discord today. Somebody said floodgates aren't. I don't think it was our Discord. I think it was DCGO. Oh, floodgates aren't the issue. It's because you have Maycrack, and I'm like, yeah, I was never worried about floodgates. I was never worried about the Crimson Blaze.
Yeah. But outside of that one, like all those other games were bricked up. Like, what am I supposed to do when I get him down to 1 security? All I did was swing rookies the whole game. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes Melga combo. I can't do anything about that because I just didn't see the correct pieces for it. But outside of that,
we constantly bag on Dan because Dan has shitty shuffling.
If you want to say, I got you, Marty. If you want to say my shuffling is the skill issue, go ahead. Sure. If you want to say,
it is a skill issue. I don't know what it is.
I was talking about for the other person, not you. I'm talking about for that person that was comment. If you want to say that my cutting skills is worse than my opponent or something, because someone said that to me one time, they were like, "Yo, this format is all about how you cut your opponent's deck." And I was like, that was a valid point, I guess. Like, whoever has the best hand wins type of thing. But if you want to say that's my skill issue part, then sure, go right ahead. But like when it comes to card for card, that was not my issue.
Yeah, like I said, I know I could take on anybody any day, any matchup, even SecCon. SecCon, I know it would have been a pain in the ass, and I'll be honest, if I was the one to play SecCon in that finals, I don't know if I would have navigated it the way that Bryce did. I damn sure know I wasn't equipped to handle it because Black Gatomon, I was looking for a Black Gato Uber, couldn't find one, so I submitted a deck list without it. And when I saw the work that card put in, I was like, okay, I have to play this card now. So there's one in the deck now. But I know that alone would have made that match 5 times harder because of those house sites and pulling that back and just the constant recovery. So,
for sure.
Just on that alone, I know I might not have taken that match against SecCon. But then there's all the other micro level decisions that you make. And I criticized Bryce's gameplay a lot, especially on that first game. But he rallied back and he won games 2 and 3, which is a testament to the type of player he is and fucking going. I don't know what his Swiss record was, but obviously good enough to make top 64 and then winning out in single elimination bracket, for the final day. Like, I might not have had the chops for it. I'll be honest. There's nothing otherwise to say. I get outplayed by many people in the TBL. Well, for the 3 weeks that we participated. But that's neither here nor there. Y'all watch a TBL, you would know. speaking of TBL, I guess I'll talk about that before I talk about poll results, because we'll lead poll results right into our main topic.
Wait. I had another point to make prior to that. I forgot. I almost forgot. So just
go ahead. Go ahead.
The bagger player that made top 16 or top 32, whatever it was.
I think it was top 32. I think it was top 32.
Because I know he was in the teens, so he was like 17, 18, or 16.
He won at least one, if not two rounds. Yeah. I would like to say he was top 32.
So, no, I know for a fact it was top 32, but I wasn't sure if it was like top 16 and he was the 16th, or it was like 17 or something like that. But anyways, doesn't matter. The person that said, play whatever you want, and yes and no. You sure he didn't play meta, but I guarantee he labbed the shit out of Bagger Army to the point where he was very, very comfortable with every single matchup. So don't just walk into a national level competition or regionals and think you're gonna do well because you brought Bagger Army. Don't do that.
Right, exactly.
That person purposely labbing, and he probably was doing it for the last 6 months. Who knows? Or he's been playing maybe not like 6 months labbing EX05 meta. But he was definitely been playing it for a long time, and he was like,
well,
he
that
knew what he
was playing a straight bagger list. Like, it wasn't even any spice. So like, if you're playing a straight bagger list, like you're put obviously an enthusiast, right?
Yeah. He put in the hours and grinded the crap out of the matchups. I guarantee, especially like the last 2 months or so prior to that.
Yep.
To learn if this is actually viable, because if he didn't think it was viable, he wouldn't have done it. There's no way he would have been like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk into Nats and just attempt to play Bagger Army. No sane mind was gonna do that without the training and the practice and the hours he put into doing that.
Right,
so,
I agree.
So any rogue matchup can be great for you, but you need to know what's your strengths and weaknesses of that deck. Like, if I were to bring Machine Dramon, that's not considered probably meta currently. That would be a rogue style deck, but like, if I practice enough and I know my matchups, then that would make sense on why I would have brought it. That's why I didn't bring it, because I didn't put the hours and time into the deck.
Correct. Yep. Agreed. Now on to the TBL. Week 7 occurred this last week. Our comeback after Nats, and what a fucking comeback it was.
Yeah,
if y'all weren't watching this TBL, god damn,
we had some
TBL to watch.
We had some fire on this one.
So Vinny, our OG, one of the OGs, he participated way back in season 1. He hasn't participated in the last few. I think he participated in one this season outside of this one.
He participated in a couple this season. He kind of like,
was it a couple?
Veered off like in the beginning. He didn't play, but he's been playing a decent amount of the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I know he wasn't playing. Or whatever. He wasn't playing in like last season, but Vinny and OG coming back with the win for week 7, playing none other than his boy Gallantmon. 4-0 with Gallantmon. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, well, it's just like a locals. It's just 4-0. No. I saw some fucking high level play here, okay?
Oh,
this wasn't no like, oh my goodness, like it's just another guy winning a locals. No. Don't you disrespect my boy like that. This motherfucker out here, you swear you was watching Digimon Liberators IRL because Vinny was his own protagonist.
This man was the protagonist of the whole night. Yo, the shit that man was pulling out was crazy.
Dan and I are sitting there, we're like, what does he do?
How does he out this? How does he do this?
How does he out this? How does he handle it? And he fucking did. It was insane. So shout out to Vinny, who took the tournament 4-0. He won against a Bloomlord deck in round 1, a Phoenixmon Bird deck in round 2, Tessero with what's it called? Anubismon in round 3.
To me, that was like the most impressive one. Outside, he had some crazy Mobs in round 4, but just because it was Anubis and it was impressive that Gallon took out the tier 1, the best deck in the format, and Tessero was a very good pilot in anything that's purple, so that was an impressive win.
And then yes, in round 4, he played against a very spicy Omni Zoo list that was somehow 3-0 up until that point.
For sure.
Piloted by Great Spectre. Vinny's deck list, I have to go over it. Fucking madman. He said, I'm not dealing with any Anubis shenanigans. This motherfucker runs 4 Crimson Blaze. He said, if I don't let you play the game, then I win. And that's kind of what happened. This man's went Crimson Blaze, what was it, like 3 turns in a row? Or it was 1 out of security, and then there was 2 more that he played.
Against Anubis, yeah.
I was like, how? Oh my lord! Like that's the shit that happened to me.
And then he Gaia Forced him, I think, afterwards too, right?
Yeah, and he got Gaia Force. No, you heard that right. It 8 costs Gaia Force. Fucking Gaia Forced an Anubis, and Tessero could not respond to it. There was no Anubis to come out afterwards. So you can say what you want about 8 cost Gaia Force in the deck, but that shit put in the work.
It won him the game, I swear. That was so crazy.
It really did. I was talking to him about it. He said he actually put it in there to deal with aces, which makes sense. I mean, it's a 4 cost because it's not like delete highest level, delete lowest level. It's just a targeted removal, which means against aces, it's 4 cost targeted removal.
Well, let's rephrase. For level 6 aces, it's a 4 cost removal.
Right. Sorry.
If it's a level 5, it becomes a 5 cost, which if you think about it, like in today's game, that's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like for a long time, Gaia Force was a card that was played in like OG days of the game for red decks. And then it just, by BT5, I want to say that was Jesmon era. That card kind of slid out of like the game period because it was like, why would you waste an 8 cost deletion? And then it became, other ways of deleting things. And then you have Hades Force. You had even pre-Hades Force was a Gaia Trident.
Dark Gaia Force. You had a few
Dark Gaia Force. You had a few cards for deletion stuff, right?
You played.
Yeah. And then Hades Force is like, how do you not play a 5 cost Hades Force that can delete where F you want? You know what I'm saying? And he just brought it back because of Ace, which it makes sense because, 4 costs delete anything. That's great to me.
He also is very spicy in his Tamer lineup, running 3 of the EX2 Tocado, 2 of the BT12 Warp Tocado, and 1 Analog Youth, which also put in the work, allowing him to recover on any time that his stack would get deleted and dealt with by being able to gain a memory and hatch. Generally, like we saw that a lot against the Zwart defeats in that final match, being able to take them out, Analog Youth, hatch, start building up a new stack. It's also just another searcher for the deck. And even if you put your Tocados in trash, remember you have a War Growlmon that does play them from the trash. So it feels like a piece that it just synergizes really well. There's nothing wrong with playing that. He also runs. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Analog Youth is just that good of a tamer where you just throw any deck and it feels good to play.
Yeah. He also ran four of the BT13 Gallantmon. That's the secret.
I didn't know you were playing 4. Oh my god.
Digivolves for 5 on Digivolve on play when attacking, not once per turn. Pop 6k or lower or a 13k or more, and reduces the play cost by 2 for every 5 cards in both players' trashes. The amount of times that card was clutched for him was insane.
And free.
And free. Because he just puts so much cards in trash because he runs the Growlmons. He only runs, I think it's 2. No, he runs 3 of the BT12 Growlmon that plays the Tocado if you don't have one. But he runs 4 of the EX3 and 4 of the EX4 one. That's the black Growlmon that pulls something back. And that's it. He just runs the 7 Growlmons. And because you just get to a point, yeah, I know it's wild, right? But you just get to a point because your black Growlmon has the on deletion inheritable as well as the ability to pull any Guillemon, Growlmon, Gallantmon piece back from trash. In a way, you kind of don't need, standard ratios if you're facilitating the way you need to facilitate. And it's just like it combined. This deck is a red deck, 110%, but the purple, the recursion part of it, it's super important because we saw
plus
him
a milling
pull back.
Plus a milling.
With the milling, we saw him pull back pieces so many times that was like, I wonder why he took that, and it fucking worked out for him. So it brings in those purple mind games. It's like shit. It's not just so Unga Boonga. It's Unga Boonga with a little bit of thinking because you got to make sure you're bringing the right pieces back because that's your only recursion in the deck. That's the only way you get pieces back from the trash. So just all in all, a complete masterful show from Vinny this week, who catapulted himself up to 4th in the TBL. And then also a strong showing from Great Spectre, again, with that Omni Zoo deck list. That was just absolutely insane. He placed third due to tiebreakers. But this deck list was literally just, I'm going to build up. Boom. I'm going to drop an Omnimon on you. Man's ran 4 Zwart defeats, 3 Alter Bees, 2 Zwarts, 2 Merciful Modes. He said it's Ace City up in this bitch. I think this deck was dubbed Blast Control.
It was, Blast
because
Control.
He runs a total of 7 aces, 3 War Grey Ace, 2 Zuchao, and 2 Metal Garurumon Ace, along with an Ebemon, which is such a spicy level 6, 4 Vave,
for sure,
and 4 Wisemon, both also really good level 5s for on-play abilities, and giving you access to almost your entire ace lineup. Like, this is a really cool modern iteration of Megazoo.
Yeah, for sure. I was about to say, especially the Wisemon, because that's purple and black, so you legit can Evo over with Metal Guru Ace, War Greymon Ace, and the Zuchao Ace if needed, which is really cool. Yeah. And then he had I think it's maybe 4 to 8 rookies, and that's it, and 4 champions.
He had 8 rookies, which are the most important rookies. He's got 4 of the Agumon, which is when the attack target is switched, you gain a memory from the starter deck 15. 4 Kukuamon, which gives you blocker as an inheritable, and then 4 Vegemon, which is just a hate card. It's a way to stunt your opponent a turn by returning 1 Digimon from your opponent's trash to the top of the deck, gain a memory. So it makes it not only a 1-cost Digievolution, but because that's both an on-play and when Digivolving, it makes it either a 1-cost Digivolve, a 3-drop,
3-cost,
and also stunts your opponent for the next turn because you might be giving them a card back that they need, but at the same time, I know what I'm looking to draw. I'm there's a card that I need off the top of my deck, and now I'm 1 card away from drawing that card again, So
for sure.
He does run the 4 Greymon as well, the 4 starter deck Greymon, which is also a strong card because it's the same inheritable as the Agumon. It does play out an Agumon or a Taikmia from Security. And then in terms of options, only 1 defense training, but 4 Laplace's Demon, which forces your opponent to attack at the start of main phase. And it's just such a cool iteration of a deck. I haven't seen this before. I love that we saw it in action this weekend because holy shit, those were just some great matchups to watch.
Yeah, I feel like the deck kind of took what the star deck War Greymon was supposed to do, right? In the essence of you want to steal some memory when you block. You also gain, because he was also playing the star deck tie, I believe, as well. Just kind of taking what that deck was, the idea of the star deck and what can do, and then kind of no pun intended, blast it up, right? He just changed it. He made it even more that heavy kind of control aspect, right? And it's Dave was in a sense because you have so many ace Digimon that you want to blast Evo, blast Evo and do things. Same concept with that, except he went more Megazoo style. So the perfect stack, right? He has the Agu, Greymon, and then Wisemon, I guess you want to say.
Ever did, but yeah.
You're right. He had it one time, I think. He had Dramon over it. But that perfect stack, then you go into any of the ace, you're plussing basically, right? And then you just go into any of the Omnimons he was running, and you just plus off of that because Zwart defeat.
The level 7s are game changers,
right? 3-cost Evo, kill Tamer, whatever. You're right. Then you could just go in, stack it up more, go into different
merciful mode,
pop something. If you need bottom deck 10 cards
from trash,
which is always good.
Big. That came up big against
it did
in the finals.
Yeah,
because you reset the game effectively.
But there's one downside to the deck. It's not sovereigns where you have on deletion effects and you could take something out. So he had a point where he had 3 aces on board, whether that was in the stack or something, and Vinny was able to just systematically take that field apart. And then I was just all right, cool. I'll waste 4, gain back 4, still be at 4. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He kill another 1, gain another 4. He was
2's worth of feats and another ace.
Zuchao. It was Zuchao.
But those 2's worth of feats had aces underneath, like Dan said.
So he legit gained in 1 turn, because that was all 1 turn, 12 memory. That's a lot to do. And so that's the only downside to that type of deck. is you get to the point where, if they're able to pop your stacks, you're in danger.
Yeah. And I think it's a really good thing to think about as well, because I know a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, I don't like the idea of aces because blah, 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 whatnot and so forth. But like, they have their drawbacks. The aces are good cards, but they're, to this point, we haven't seen any ace that's overly busted because they have their drawbacks, and that drawback is the overflow. Even in the SecCon matchup, Peter played Magna Ace, and with Digivolve, I don't think he saw it in the match that we saw, but he said he did it in the tournament. Played Magna Ace, and then Blast Evo into the Azulong Ace. And even though you're overflowing like 7 memory, like you get to recover and pop on the Magna, and then you get to, I think it's return to hand a level 5.
Yes.
And then on deletion for the Azulong is to delete highest level.
Yep.
So it's still like especially in SecCon, like that's effectively removal. So like, what does it matter if your opponent deals with it? Because you're still removing something. But for other decks, overflow 7 is a lot. That's a lot to give up. Sometimes even overflow 4 is a lot. In our 3v3, freaking Magna Ace, that overflow 3 was just the amount, like it was the perfect amount, because Captain Cinnabon was able to pop the Magna Ace, keep turn while she went into an Emperor, and then swing over the Shadow Serafi, take it out, and then get set up for next turn. So effectively able to clear board. Like, Ace is great. We haven't really seen anything that absolutely abuses it and makes it not a great mechanic. I think it is a perfect way.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think especially because of the memory gauge, one of the biggest issues that I think the Digimon card game could ever have are decks that abuse the memory gauge. And that's why Fenry can't get too good support in terms of being consistent, because of what that deck does. Look at what Alphamon did in its prime. Think about if Fenry was able to do that consistently. And that's why Fenry does not top consistently, which is a good thing. If decks abuse the memory gauge the way that they did back in BT9, we enter that meta all over again. It's not even a thing about OTK decks. It's just a thing about doing things for free and circumventing this shared resource that we have. So aces having powerful effects, but being linked to overflow inherently balances them. And I don't think we've seen an ace to date yet that's been like, oh my goodness, that's busted for the amount of overflow that it gives. What we're waiting to see right now, we've even seen Mastemon Ace, which is still a really good card. But Overflow 4. And the Bond cards, good cards, Overflow 5. What is Ragna Ace going to do that justifies it being the new cornerstone of its deck realistically, while also overflowing 5, I think so far they've done a great job, and I do like the implementation of Ace, and I can't see what the next big mechanic that they think of to inject into the game will be.
That's why I think the Deva's deck is such a good deck, because you do have that overflow aspect, but they all have a on deletion effect to take out a body, which could come up very important. So what? You lose 4 memory and maybe it's your opponent's turn at 4. But if you're able to take out that one stack of theirs, then they have to rebuild as well. And that's why I think it's a very good control deck that's needed in the game, in my opinion.
I 110% agree. I think Fanglong is the perfect idealization, the perfect concept of the ace strat.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to use it and not make it busted and just make it really, really good. Now, with that all being said, let's move on to our poll results and our Q&A. So I'm going to start with this week's, and then we'll move on to the weeks prior. So first, for the Q&A, I asked for those of you who went, what did you think of Bandai's Card Game Fest? How did you do? Would you go again? And what would you do differently? Zedwef says, I want more IRL tourneys, but they need to be more spread out. Give some love to Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, etc. I think online tourneys do a good job of giving people anywhere a way to compete and have a place, and I agree. I think that's our big thing as a community this year. I know I've seen it a lot on Facebook with Lance and others. We're appealing for more IRL events, and I think the goal is 2 IRL events a month, which I think is perfectly feasible, especially when you consider that some of these TOs like PPG are more than capable of hosting it, and we know in the past that they've wanted to. So really, the onus is on Bandai to say, okay, fine, more IRL events. So and so, here you go, get it done. Or even to insensitize, they're doing it because they're doing it for Battle Spirits. This is how I know that they can fucking do it. For Battle Spirits, what they're doing is they're having, I think they said it's something, I could be wrong, but if you are a player of Battle Spirits, you can correct me, or if you know about it, correct me. But I believe it's something akin to regional level events, but hosted by the LGSs, by select LGSs.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they can do it for Battle Spirits, they can damn well do it for Digimon and their other... honestly, we're a Digimon podcast. All the other card games we don't give a shit about. But if they can do it for Battle Spirits, they can do it for their other card games. And it's just us as a player base, we need to ask for it. We need to be on their ass about it. We've gotten them to change a lot of the things and pay more attention to us as a region thus far. And all we need to keep doing is speaking out and voicing our opinions, but also supporting. Because remember, yes, you can boycott. You can be like, well, I'm not going to buy product until you do this. That's perfectly within your rights and well within something that you're capable of doing. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not constructive. It doesn't help. It only hurts the game because realistically speaking, it's lost revenue. The better way to speak out is when they ask for our feedback on the surveys, when they post stuff on Facebook, whenever there's a chance to speak to somebody who could interface with Bandai. Hey, listen, I think those are much more constructive and useful.
Agreed.
Walker says, my issue with Nats was that they were doing too much. Keep the events separate at a manageable spot, not LA, and it would go easy. Have events like DigiFest again elsewhere. Let Nats be its own thing. So I don't mind Card Game Fest being a thing, but I also think that I think their bigger problem is not that they're doing too much in a way. Like, yes, I agree that, bringing Union Arena and trying to manage all the card games is something, but we didn't see any competitive play announcements for Union Arena, which I think is a very good thing because it tells me that they expect it to not be, the next Digimon, the next One Piece, but they see enough of their players liking their games to want to at least buy and support it. Now, with that in mind, what they can do is just have more communication because that felt like the problem with Card Game Fest. And it wasn't necessarily on Bandai as so much as it was on PlayTCG, PPG, and whatever other TLs were responsible for hosting these tournaments. I think PPG did a decent enough job with the Digimon side. Outside of the blip that we had with the 2-round buys, everything else pretty much ran smoothly. One Piece was an entirely different story. I can't even speak to what they went through.
Not our problem.
Not our problem, but there just needs to be more cohesive communication between these TOs and between Bandai and their TOs and companies and the LGSs and just everything. If Bandai could do what the owners of Grand Archive does for that game and communicate and have open communication with their players and LGSs, or what Jasco does for My Hero, I think they'll put themselves in a much, much better spot. We wouldn't have a lot of the gripes that we do have with Bandai. Jay Stewart says, I still prefer IRL way over webcam. However, the convenience of webcam is nice. I would prefer more IRL than web, like 75% to 25%. And so, talking about our poll results, which I said, which do you prefer in regards to the events for Digimon Card Game? I gave 4 options. I prefer IRL events. I prefer webcam events. I like a mixture of both or other. To no surprise, a whopping 15%, a whopping 15 people out of 21 votes said I prefer IRL events. Nobody said I prefer webcam events. 5 people said I like a mixture of both, and 1 person said other, which I think is pretty accurate. I mean, I'm the same way. I do like webcam events. I like the convenience. But if you were to tell me that in a month's time, there was a regional in New York City, then we out there.
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
a regional in Silver Spring, Maryland, we out there. There's a regional in Cincinnati, Ohio, most likely we out there. Ohio's, it's a drive, but if Pittsburgh is 7 hours, what's an extra, 5 hours?
No, that's 5. So? That's 5. What's an extra 5, bro? That's a whole day. Yo, we gotta leave Thursday, dog.
I'm willing to do it. That's the thing. I'm willing to do it. But if we're talking about,
if you tell us, like, for sure, like, we're in PA, right? And you tell us anywhere in PA, are mostly going to try to do it, right?
Anywhere along Northeast.
Outside of, I was about to say, you got New York, Jersey,
Boston.
even Connecticut, because we just went to Connecticut for a case tournament. You know what I'm saying? We're willing to do that. Maryland is pretty close, right? I don't know. Where.
Maryland is close, yeah. Maryland is right below Philly, essentially, in a way.
Right. And then what else connected to besides the left side?
Delaware.
Delaware,
yeah,
right?
So Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio. Bro. Like I said, Ohio's a drive.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh is about 6 hours, 6 hours from us. Anywhere in Ohio is anywhere from an extra hour to 5 hours. Illinois is, I think. Illinois might be a little bit more further out.
That's a plane ride right there. That's a plane ride right there.
Is it like Mississippi then? That's next to like Georgia. No. I don't remember the southern states that are next to like Georgia, the North and South Carolinas. I know Virginia's pretty big.
Yeah.
But it's literally anywhere there. We were even gonna make the drive from MomoCon. We just were like. But like, if it were to come up again this year, like I'm in a much better place of being able to do it. I'd fucking do it.
Yeah, for sure. Plus, Georgia's pretty nice. It's gonna be warm. It's a nice area. Not a nice area. I don't know. Sure, it's nice.
Just don't go to the wrong places. But
yeah. That's like everywhere, right? When you think about it. Like, shoot. If you tell us once a month there's one of these in the East Coast like that. I'm sure we will all be down for it, especially for the East Coast natives.
Bro, I think there will be so much more attendance because I feel like there's so many East Coast peeps that just can't justify. I mean, shit, it was a $650 fucking dollar weekend in terms of flight and hotel booking just to get out to LA. No, I can't do that shit consistently. I got a wife and kids to worry about. And Dan, people who are in your position, I know you think twice about making those types of decisions because it's like, cool, I like card games, but do I like it that much to spend $650 some to fly out to play a card game?
Like if it was Nats, it makes sense, but like a regional in LA, because they had the regional in LA, I was like, why would I even bother?
Exactly. Even Texas, it's not cheap because even if you can get a flight for like $200, you're still going to spend another $150 or so in the hotel booking. And maybe that's one night. So maybe another $300. It's still a $400+ weekend, which is a car payment. It's a car payment, you can't make that shit on a regular basis. And unfortunately, I think, Dan and I came to this conclusion, more Dan than I. LA is always going to be the spot for Bandai. I think that's just the unfortunate reality. It's close to Japan. They know it. It's comfortable. It's just, it is what it is. I'm fine with that as long as we can have other IRL events throughout the year that are not just in inaccessible places for those of us who want to play the game on the East Coast. I think the first year was great. We had an event out in Columbus. There was the event in Philly. There was the event in Atlanta. There was the event in Washington, D.C. at Otakon. If we can bring back more of those, then it's great. I mean, I would go to that all the time. But if not, I just, it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you just said. Sorry, I was just looking at, they just revealed Dramon is an interesting card for sure.
All right, I'll take a look at that later. Now, moving on to the meat of our conversation, we're going to talk about our Q&A and poll results for Global Unification. So, for poll results, I said, how would you like to be caught up to the meta? Out of 17 votes, 7 said combine the sets, 8 people said 1 set per month max, and 2 people said other. I then asked, how do you feel about global unification of the English and Japanese metas? We got 7 responses. Well, a lot of people felt very strongly about this. We'll start with the oldest response from Marcos, who is our thumbnail artist, Marcy. Off topic, we'll talk about it real quick, is why I went to this one. Off topic, what do you guys think about the prevalence of Ukomon? Seems like 4 rookie slots in most BT16 decks are dedicated to either Ukomons or both. So, we mentioned it earlier, the new BT16 Ukomon is absolutely insane, and I don't think it needs to be limited, but if there was a card that was going to be limited, that would be the first one that pops into my mind. Because for what it does, for any deck, it's so wild. For those of you who don't know, this card, so if you don't know the original Ukomon, the one that's a promo, that one basically says when a Digimon moves from breeding to the battle area, you hatch and then gain a memory. It does see itself for that effect. This Ukomon says the same thing, but instead of gain a memory, it's reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add a Digimon or Tamer among them to your hand, bottom deck the rest, and then you hatch. It's not searchable, and that's the only thing it's searchable by is Analog Boy. I guess it's also searchable by a Vmon because it is free traded.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
is it technically searchable by itself as well?
Yeah, it is searchable by itself. Correct. Yes. But outside of that, Memory Boost, Training Boost can't search this card, which is good. But if you open with this card, if you Digivolve this, you play something. Now remember, if you open Ukomon and you Digivolve Ukomon on your first turn, you turn off your options because it is a white card. But if you have something else to pass turn with, you play a Rookie Searcher or a Tamer, and then you come back to your turn, you raise this card, you're getting a 3. You got your draw from the turn. You're effectively getting a selected draw just for raising the card. Then you get to hatch and start building up again. This is why I believe the Scrambles are good cards, because the Scrambles, they're not the same. They how do I put it? They do a little bit of what this Ukomon does in essence, in that it allows you to be a little bit more proactive with your plays. Now, a lot of times you have a stack out. You have a stack that you're building up and raising, and you don't want to raise it because you don't necessarily have all the pieces you need yet, but you need to respond. And with the Ukomon, you could easily raise, especially if you have another rookie in hand, because there's so many times I've had a rookie in hand, and I'm like, I'd love to raise, but I can't deal with this stack getting popped because it's going to come back to my turn, and then I get to hatch, and then I get to build up. Ukomon just allows you to raise, hatch a new egg, and start building up a new stack while you have a stack out. And the Scrambles kind of provide the same thing in that if your stack got dealt with, when you play that card, you Digivolve for free. When it comes back to your turn, if your stack got dealt with, you have no Digimon on board, you then get to play out a rookie, whether that's a searcher or just a rookie to start building up again. It gives you a little bit of that resilience, and that's why I think the Scrambles are good. And that's why this Ukomon is fucking insane.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really cool for
anything
decks,
to play.
Exactly. For decks that don't have really good rookie lineups, throw in 8 Ukomon. There you go. And I think it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to have, in my opinion. Now,
yeah,
if we get to the point where something breaks it, then we have to talk about it, I guess, for banning reasons. But I don't know. I think it's fine the way it is.
I don't think it needs to be touched just yet. I think it's perfectly fine. I just think what it does for the card game right now, like the fact that the first Ukomon came out by way of promo, seeing how it was abused over here and then how it was started being abused in Japan was just like, it's such a good card. I don't think the promo Ukomon will be touched at all. I think promo Ukomon is fine. BT16 Ukomon is a different story just because consistency is insane. If you open that card or if it's your second turn play, so we'll see. Now, to the actual responses. Chris said, it's about time, but I'm going to place a bet that someone is going to complain that it's a bad thing as it will affect the singles market and they won't be able to net deck 3 months in advance. Yes, was already something I was going to talk about. That's like one of the biggest things that I saw on Reddit. People were like, well, I'm not going to be able, when a card gets revealed in Japan, we get 6 months to then buy the card over here. If you wanted to play it that badly, you would have already had the cards. I'm just saying, that's how I feel. I don't think it affects. Yeah, sure, it's definitely going to affect stuff in that, when a card gets revealed, that hype price is going to stay a hype price until that deck is shit. Or if it's good, it's just going to stay the hype price. Magnamons are up to $80 right now, which is insane from BT13. And every day, I regret getting rid of my Magnamons. But again, I made that decision because I needed the money at the time, and I still feel that I can buy it back cheaper than what I sold it for. Because I sold it at its then hype price of $60. I do feel I can get them back for $60 or less. Jay Stewart says, Unification is awesome. I don't think mixing sets would be good as it will make cards harder to pull. And a set every month could get very costly and people may skip sets. So neither of those are a solution. We know what Bandai's done and we'll get to that. Walker said, so it sounds like BT20 was a mistranslation. It's actually going to be by next April that the game will be unified. Give some extra breathing room. That feels fine. Correct. BT20 is what was interpreted, but it's actually BT21.
Correct.
We'll get to that. We also have a schedule there. ZWF says, overall, I'm very happy with this decision. I hate being hyped for new cards and waiting for months to use them. I'm also looking forward to figuring out the meta alongside Japan. You and me both, brother. I hate looking at EX6 and being like, I want everything and having to wait.
Same.
What is it? 5 months I think we have to wait? Is it like June? July? Oh, I can't. Yeah. It's tough out here.
Don Devimon.
Greg says, thrilled. The whiners about the combined sets hurting their pulls could pound sand. Suck it up for 2 sets instead of making everyone live 6 months behind for eternity. And then Josh says, I personally think it's great. Not knowing what the meta will be when the set arrives will be so much fun. Being able to playtest everything will be exciting. Dan, just give me the shimmy. What do you think? What are your thoughts on global unification?
Oh, we're jumping into the topic now?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure there was more.
That's all the comments. I just want to hear what you have to say before I start off.
Yeah, I am excited. I am hyped. I can't wait. I'm excited to be able to build a format and not get a format basically handed to us on a platter. Almost. I mean, there's some things that change here and there, right? But besides that, it's usually we know what it is. Outside of maybe like ratios, really. I would say this, like I said, there's things here and there that change. Like Red Hybrid was not as predominant in EX6 for Japan as it is for here, possibly because we got the Ukumon and Ukumon kind of like buffed up the deck.
Yep.
So that was cool to see like Red Hybrid being like predominant here for us, and well, not just here for us, but like worldwide, because Oceania it killed in how many spots was taken with 7 out of the top 16. Did decent, and for us, especially top 64, I'm sure it was a decent chunk. I don't remember exactly the number, but I know they had a decent amount. But like I said, besides that, we don't get that much of a variance per se. And so it's exciting to be able to also, we get cards like we're getting reveals for EXO6 right now, right?
EX6.
We would know in 2-3 weeks we're going to get the set out, and that's going to be exciting to be able to have that same exact time as Japan, and be able to do things. And it's going to be cool to see, because this is kind of Yu-Gi-Oh-esque, but they kind of like do things differently with it because of the ban list. So that's why we get like different metas in it per se. But like, we're going to see the very first regional set come out, and it's going to be like crazy, right? And then by the time like the 3rd or 4th regional in that same format, it's going to be a completely different pie chart potentially, because we find out, oh, this actually was really good. Oh, this is a counter. Here's an anti-meta pick. Here's this, here's that. And that's always cool to see, because you always get that cool shift. And then by that time, you know what the format is about, usually. So I'm excited to see how that plays out for competitive Digimon for us, because like I said, it's going to be cool to see different things change and top and win and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are not going to have, we'll have a little bit of the same meta, right? But I think what we're going to see is the true differences in deck building between the two metas.
Oh yeah, true.
We're going to see Japan as they build, or the way that they build. Obviously there's a way that Japan builds and it's different from the way that we build. But I think those differences are going to be much more exaggerated because there's no deck list to go off. I mean, Japan, they're basically going to continue along the same path that they've been doing because they've been the beta testers for the game up until this point. But for us, when we get to Unification, we're not going to be like, all right, well, what does the most recent winning Japanese list look like?
Yeah.
It's going to be, well, what do I think works? We're actually going to be able to say, because that's the reason I don't playtest sets. Why playtest when Japan is literally doing it? Like, I don't need to play Japan's current meta because I'll just, like, I hate to say it, but I'll just let Japan play, and then when it comes over here, I'll just fucking look at what they have, and then I'll just make my modifications because obviously it worked for them, it's going to work for us, you know? That's the unfortunate reality of the situation.
And that's outside of Nats, so that's the only time we ever, like, print out proxies to playtest because of, you know, we have to practice for Nats because we don't have the cards yet. Cards we get is only like a week ahead of Nats or whatever the nonsense is for the last 2 years when it comes to that. Because
so when we do unify, now it's like, okay, cool. What cards are getting revealed? Yo, let's start theory crafting some shit because this set comes out in, you know, what do they get? I think they get reveals like a month before the set comes out. And then the last reveal comes like a week before the set comes out, right?
Something
so if it stays that way in terms of the reveal release schedule and then the release of the set, that changes everything because now it's like, cool. Yo, what do you think this card can do? I don't know, but let's throw it in its deck and let's see how it works. There's actually value in that, you know? The Japanese get to do it because that's their meta. But for us, what does it matter? We're about to be BT 15 in a week. And Japan is going to be EX6, meaning that they have BT 16 and EX6. And then there's going to be reveals for BT 17. But we don't get BT 16 until April, I believe. So it's like, where's the fun? Why bother? I know there are some loyalists who like do get out there and play test, but for me, I'd rather just chill. I'll play my meta. I'll play English meta until I, get a chance to play this new meta. But when Unification comes, everything changes.
Yeah,
now, we do have an anticipated release.
And we get a rare, very rare occasion where we don't know what our meta is going to really look like for BT15 because which is going to be
fun itself
for sure. Which we get a whole basically brand new meta in the sense of cards being banned starting March 1st, which is 2 weeks after. It was 2 weeks after the set officially drops. Yep. And obviously we already went through this. So the obvious is you have Buka, Anubis, Guru X, Gabu X, and Apocalypse all hit to 1. And those 5 cards were the predominant, not predominant, just dominated their meta in Japan. And so we get a different meta for that. So I'm excited to see how that turns out as well for us. I mean, we kind of saw a little bit. I think they had like a week of that meta, I think it was, maybe. Or I think BT16 dropped already. I don't remember for them. Do you recall?
So it's February. They're getting EX6.
Yeah, but when did
this month, right?
Ban list dropped for them January 1st.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to figure out the release schedule. They're getting EX6 this month, right?
Yeah, I just don't remember if they got the BT16.
BT16 was in December. So
it was already.
Yeah, they didn't get the ban list during their BT15 meta.
Okay, so then our BT15 meta is going to be completely different. It's going to be shaped completely
different because Apocalymon's not going to be the big bad. Like, yes, we're still going to see it, but it's not going to be as dominating with just one copy. Garurumon is Garurumon's going to do things, all right, because they are getting a completely new line.
Correct.
But it's going to be more of the same old Garurumon, not the new consistent Garurumon. And Anubismon, Anubismon didn't change going from EX5 into BT15.
It was the same deck.
One Anubismon now, so
yeah, so that's a different deck entirely.
Exactly. So the 3 kings have all fallen, and the throne is there for the taking.
I know you didn't mention it, but also Pukuma is part of like the blue-purple. Like if you go blue-based, Melga as well. Yes. So that was a thing as well.
Yeah. So no jamming shenanigans as well. Thank God. It's just insane. I agree. BT15 is going to be such a big meta change, and I actually am excited for BT15 because of that. And before I get to the release schedule, I think that's a big thing when it comes to players. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. Serialized Omnis are now a thing for regionals, and I see so many players like, oh my goodness, serialized Omnis? Well, I'm going to have to pick this game up again. And I think when we get global unification, even more players are going to be like, what? You're playing the same game that Japan is playing?
Exactly, for sure. That
now
will definitely
I have
help
to
bring
pick it
people
back up again. Because it's like, I get to play the game with no preconceived notions? It's just, I release schedule. So obviously we're getting BT15 next week. Pre-release starts next week is how I should say that. And then we get Starter Deck 17 next month. Japan
wait. This weekend is pre-release. Remember, it's not next week.
Right. Yeah. February 16th. That's what I'll say. February 16th is when BT15 officially releases. Now, next month we get Starter Deck 17, which is bunnies. And then Japan gets BT17 Secret Invasion. Right? No. Whatever it's called. Can't remember what it's called. It's called something. They get that in March as well. Then April, they get Starter Decks 18 and 19, which are the Liberator Starter Decks. And then May, we get BT16, they get EX7. In June, we get EX6, they get BT18. In August, we get BT17. In September, we get EX7, and then they get BT19. We finally get Starter Decks 18 and 19 in October, a whole 6 months after it releases in Japan. And mind you, this is an anticipated release schedule from DigiPanda. This is not the word. This is just what seems to be what would be the schedule. Now, I believe that EX7 is a tentative date, but it's what makes the most sense given the release schedule that we have so far. So them getting BT19 in Japan on September is what's anticipated. So November is where we would get, is the ideal spot that we would get release special booster, whatever, 2.0, 2.0, which I believe those boosters, it's going to be a combination of sets 18, 19, and 20. So according to DigiPanda, what he anticipates is November, we get special booster 2.0, and in February, special booster 2.5. While Japan would get some weird, like Japan slows down a lot, because in November they would get EX8, in January they would get BT20, and then they would get nothing until we unite in April for BT21, and we would get EX8 in January. So I'm still curious to see like what the Bandai basically said, like keep listening out, listen for future announcements in regards to global unification, because I'm sure there's a lot logistically that has to happen for this to get caught up.
For sure.
I mean, just the sheer fact they already announced, which I guess we have to talk about that. I don't know how I glossed over it. They did announce that we are getting 18, 19, and 20 as special booster sets. They're going to be combined sets.
Correct.
So I know how a lot of people feel, and I get it. Release Special Booster 1.0 was horrible in terms of pull rates. I remember when Omnimon's SR were fucking $50, $60, $70 when I got into the game. Dan, how much were they like on release? When
they were like $100 plus because I was day one with it.
So that was an SR.
And then the all art, oof, that was the money.
Lilithmon, I remember Lilithmon alts being $60-$80 for the longest time, and even Lilithmon SRs were like $20-$30. So
hey, I zero regrets, but I paid $70 or $80 for Alter S.
That was also an expensive card, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's pennies. But I get it. Like, yeah, it's going to mess up pull rates. We don't have a better option. I mean, I was only thinking about it from the player's perspective. And as a player, I don't mind if I get, one set a month. Fuck it. I'll just keep buying. But we're not what matters. And I'll be frank, and I'm completely honest. We, the players, are not what matters in this situation. The LGSs are what matters, because the way that they have to order product, they already order 6 months out in advance.
Yeah.
If it was literally to be, September through whatever, February of EX7, BT17, BT18, EX8, BT19, BT20, month after month, what do you guys think the LGSs would do? I don't even know what they would do. I feel like you'd look at that and you'd be like, fuck, I can't buy all this shit, or I can only buy like 2 cases max. And even that's a stretch, because a case is still probably at cost around $600. But then they're supporting Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Card Fight, or whatever other card games. Like, Digimon isn't the only thing they have to support, and Digimon definitely is not their biggest moneymaker. If Magic were to do that, I know they'd be upset, but at least Magic would make them money. Pokemon would make them money. You cannot do that for Digimon. I think set after set after set for months consecutively would tire LGSs out and they wouldn't buy the product. So I think the smartest move, the 110%, is doing the special boosters. And as a player base, we have to take that hit, And I know one thing a lot of people are going to say is, well, they should have just done it earlier. I think they were trying to do it earlier until it just wasn't feasible for them to do anymore. I think the fact that we got Special Booster 1.0 and 1.5 says they were going to try to get us caught up, but the supply chains weren't ready for it at that time.
And that was during COVID, so that was nowhere near they were going to get that. That's why they did work. That's why they did combine it first off. But the fact that Future, we had so many issues. I don't know. You came in BT5, right? BT4. Even BT4 had issues when it came to supply and demand for us to get it.
$150 Great Legend boxes.
It took us BT5 to get us a decent supply, and then it took to BT6, and sometimes there was issues in some areas. I remember BT6. BT6 was the one, I think it was Europe had issues, and then we got on time, but Europe had issues.
Bro,
and then
Europe had issues for a few sets after.
Was it BT7 that we had issues getting and Europe got it early? I don't remember which set it was during that time frame. I remember there was issues having Europe was like, haha, we got it, you did it this time, suckers. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's right, yeah.
And then vice versa. So it took us a while for the whole world to be able to be okay with getting a supply. I'm sure here and there in certain areas, probably not the best. I know
BT9 is still a supply problem too, because those boxes, Dexmon is in it, but even alternative being boxes aren't that expensive. Granted, it's an EX set, but Ruin Mode is such a staple now. And I know it's Dexmon, but BT9, when I saw it for $100 at Card Game Fest, I was like, damn, I might pick up. I might pick up a few boxes though, because it was just so hard to get product for BT9 still. Everybody wanted it. It was the heralding of essentially a new era in the card game, and we still see the ramifications of that today. A lot of alt arts from BT9 are still expensive. Agumon X is $40. War Grey X has only just went down to $15. He was $25 for the longest. Diamond was a $25 card. Melga was a fucking $25 card. Alphamon was expensive until that shit got hit. Cool Boys are still expensive rares, and X Antibody is a common that still costs a few dollars. That set, a lot of good cards, value. But obviously there was a supply issue still with BT9. So it's like, because I remember that was Otakon, not last year, the year prior.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it was the same year that like we were still having supply issues with BT7. So in terms of like what's best for the LGSs, release special booster is the way to do it. They can't be saddled with having to buy set after set after set. Especially not when players are as fickle as they are.
Oh yeah.
You can't make the promise of I'm gonna buy unless you pre-order it, you know. But a lot of players are like, yeah, I'll buy, and then the time comes around and the stores get stuck with the product because the players don't buy, or they're like, oh well, I found it cheaper on TCG Player. I just bought 4 boxes of what's it called, EX5 from my LGS for $80 a pop, and I could have gotten them online for $55. I could have saved $125. But you know why I bought it from my LGS? Support my LGS. I have no problem supporting my LGS because in the darkest times of Digimon, they stood by us and they still do us right to this day. So even though I can get a box cheaper online, I will support my LGS and I will buy my product from them. Unless I'm, buying something outrageous like multiple cases and they don't have it,
I'll say also maybe for the new special boosters, whenever they get for 17, 18, 19. Oh, 18, 19, 20.
18, 19, 20.
Right? That's what it is, okay. Maybe you could change the ratios on your pull rates. Maybe they add a couple more SRs in it. It's very possible they could just change it up to make it feel better, I guess you could say, because it's going to be a lot of SRs and 6 secrets in total. They'll probably break it up by 3.
Yeah.
For 1, and then whatever SRs they decide to break that up. But maybe
I don't recall how they broke up 1.0 and 1.5.
Not a clue at the moment, but maybe you can pull 2 more SRs or something, just to it doesn't feel as bad because it's gonna be a mix of 3 boxes probably. BT special booster 1.0 was. The first one was mostly 1 and 2 with a couple cards here and there out of it and a couple of the cards from BT3. And then 1.5 was basically mostly BT3 with a couple cards from BT1 and 2.
1.0,
so
1.5, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again. So it all depends on how they break up the ratios and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, what's even more important is that I think it's really important to note that because we don't have any news on it, there could be a lot of good stuff that comes out of this. Yes, they could definitely improve the ratios, but knowing Bandai, they might not. I'll be honest, it might just stay the same.
Probably not.
What's more important, 1.0 or BTs 1, 2, and 3, they had a theme, but when they combined it for us, it was kind of just what makes the most sense. BT 17 is in its planning phase for sure. If they're not already, they're probably designing cards for it because BT 16 is. Or sorry, BT 17. No, I believe they would have finished designing cards for BT 17 by now.
So Japan has BT 16. They're on EX06 by drop. BT 17 has definitely already been done, and they're definitely probably working on EX07 or BT 18 at the moment.
I think it would be BT 18. So that's the really important thing to consider here because they know in advance that we're doing release special booster. What are they going to do with the themes of BTs 18, 19, and 20? Are they going to be themes that intertwine with each other so that when they release it in English,
it doesn't feel
18
different
and 19,
for no reason?
Exactly. 18 and 19 will be some sort of combined theme, and then 19 and 20 will finish. We don't know any of the details around 18 through 20. And that's super important because that's what the release special boosters are going to consist of. And it's entirely plausible that the way they release it for Japan is in such a way that it does end up benefiting the English market. We wouldn't know until they come out and say anything though.
Yeah.
So the most important thing at this time is really to just keep supporting the game because you love the game. Obviously, you're listening to a Digimon podcast. What are you doing here otherwise?
For sure.
Keep supporting the game and then wait for them to say what they're doing with RSBs, whatever they're going to call it, RSB 2 and 2.5. Because it's only at that point that we'll know, what the good route to go is. But I think from a business perspective, considering your LGSs is the most important thing, and they've done that by giving 2 sets instead of what would have been 3, and also being back to back to back to back. Because what it looks like, according to DigiPod, is we would get EX7 in September, that first release special booster in November, so skip October, then into November. And then that second, or we get EX8 in January, so 3 months later, and then the following month release special booster 18.5 or 2.5, whatever. And that's still another thing to consider. We don't know anything about EX7. Well, no, we do. That's a lie. I think they said EX7 was all Liberators.
Liberators, right? Yeah.
An entire Liberator set, which makes me really giddy, really excited. Our first full side set for a media. But
correct.
We don't know what EX8 is.
But you know what's also going to be cool? Like mentioning about like the unification and stuff. During that era, we're going to have such a different meta. It's going to be fun as hell. It's going to be BT15 all over again, except moving forward. It's going to be obviously like Special Booster 1.0 and 1.5 again as well, because it's going to be 2 different. We're having a mixed match. We're going to have a mixed match of sets. So like,
we'll have some cards, we won't have others.
Exactly. So however they break it up again, we're going to have a different meta again for it. So I think that's also something to look forward to and to be excited for as well, to have that feeling of, oh, this is our own meta. This is not anything that's just what Japan is, copy and paste. It's ours, and it's gonna be different.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be a tough thing to do. Better late than never. That's all I can say. Better late than never. If they were going to continue having us be separate metas, my thing for this year would have been give a separate ban list. I'm tired of
100%
playing off of
if they weren't going to do it
busted in Japan.
If they weren't going to give us a unification, it's time for a separate ban list for sure.
Because time after time, like Anubismon showed at Nats that it was, a tier 1 deck, one of the B diffs. Going into BT15, I don't doubt. Dan's going to play it, and we'll see it for one Ultimate Cup. We'll see what the results look like. Will Apocalypse top? Most likely,
Oh, yeah.
Do I think anything will be, like, extremely different? No. But, like, look at Red Hybrid. Anubismon was running amok in Japan with no competition except that of Apocalypse, because, Apocalypse mills, and Melga, because Melga's fast as fuck. And over here in English, Anubismon was top, but Red Hybrid served to say, fuck you, Crimson Blaze, And that it was a very real thing that Red Hybrid could have won Nats. Again, 7 tops for EU, and at least 2 or 3 top 16s in NA.
Yeah.
So, a very, very real thing.
And whatever the tops were for EU and Latin America, because I know they had Red Hybrids. Yeah, but they still had Red Hybrid.
They definitely did. Yeah, they definitely had Red Hybrid, and I think they did have Ukomon for that, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the type of thing that is why I say give us the decks and let us play it. Do I think anything will be drastically different? No. But will other decks rise to counter? Yeah, Red Hybrid did. And in my opinion, did a bang-up job of doing it. Because again, I was scared that I was going to face so many of it. I played 2, and I won 1. I went 1-1 against it in my Nationals run. And I know people who played against more, and I know people who didn't play against it at all, because there were just 1,000 players, That's my thing about giving us, Apocalypse and Melga full power, because it's like, hey, I know they're busted, but let us see if there's anything that makes it just not so unbearable. Or is it so unbearable that, yes, we do have to get the hit? And honestly, I like that it's going to be unified now, because
we don't have to worry about that.
I literally don't ever have to think like that again. Now it's just like, oh, wow, it's busted here. Surely it's busted in Japan. Look over Japan results. Yeah, it's busted there too. Yeah, it's time to ban that bitch. No having to worry about, well, it's not busted here, it's not busted there. Like, no, we're playing the same game and we're playing it at the same time. And if it's busted in one place, it's going to be busted in the other. It's just now you don't have to worry about, well, maybe we can do something different. No, we had time. We had time to think about doing something different, something to combat it, and nothing can. So yeah, ban that bitch. Get it out of here. Restrict it, whatever. I think that's like one of my biggest takeaways for this, outside of being able to play, the game fresh and new. It's really just not having to ever worry about, fuck, here comes a ban list that's like eyes on scatter mode and gonna ruin our lives again.
Yeah, that was
ruin some of these decks that we wanted to play prior to getting EX5,
Still bad at that moment for us. Like it
was, yeah.
And the double Gabu, that was hard for us. What are we world? NA. Oh my god. Like I was trying to think of what he did for
there.
Yeah. No, because I was thinking what they use for like the world, like because it's not Japan.
It's really just NA or EN and JP.
Yeah, EN. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for EN. I just couldn't think of EN at that moment.
Yeah, it's something that's absolutely great. I know a lot of people are not looking forward to the ratios of combined sets, but again, frankly speaking, it's the best possible approach because, I mean, if not getting it one set per month and not giving us in a combined set, what is the solution?
There's no solution.
I can't think of a solution, and Dan can't think of a solution, and nobody gave us a solution. That means that the only solution is in one of those two options mentioned, and obviously one is better from a business perspective than the other one, and that's just the unfortunate reality of the situation. That's what we got to go ahead with. So, unified sets, or sorry, not unified set, unified really special booster. Now you got me word farting over here.
And I was gonna say, also, I mean, you can make those sets are gonna be valuable as well for the pull rates. I know pull rates ain't gonna be the greatest, but like those cards could be
badass sets.
Those cards are gonna be worth money. So people complain about this game being dirt cheap and like they can't make their money off their blah 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 blah.
Fair.
Cards are going to be. There's probably gonna be a secret that's gonna be worth 50. Easy.
That's a really good point, actually, because we won't know what's good. Maybe cards won't plummet in price.
I was talking about the special booster.
I know what you were talking about, but even looking beyond special booster, when we come up to unification.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Like, looking at SRs and seeing some of them for $2 is insane because it's like, bro, how is this just $2? Case in point, Mitamamon. Mitamamon is such a good yellow vaccine card, and that super rare is $1. Crazy. It is. It is good. It's not even like, oh, well, like, I can see. No. It's a good card. And its base SR is $1. Meanwhile, Leviamon, obviously, we know Leviamon's going to be good and it's played in Anubis, but Leviamon chills at something like $7. No, $9 for its SR.
Oof.
When Unification comes around, for the people who sell, for people who buy a case and then they sell off stuff to make back their money, for the LGSs and everything, does this mean that like when they're going to sell singles, they can actually profit from selling singles? Because as it looks right now, buying a case of EX5, you get 670. So what is that? Maybe like $55 a case. $55 a box. Unless you're pulling God pulls, like you're probably not making your money back, considering that a lot of these alternate arts are like $7-10. And if Mitamamon is your SR for $1, that's tragic. If Leviamon is your SR for $9, that's cool. You're pulling, what is it, Dan? I want to say 6 SRs from a box.
From a box it's 24 packs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's 12 SRs, isn't it?
I don't recall. I know I got 10 hits in my EX5 box, and that was 4 alternate arts or secret combination, and then 6 SRs. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay, so, you might be right.
So let's just say 8 hits. 8 hits on average. But 8 hits on average, if those cards average to $10 a hit, each card, that's $80 a box. That means your box is actually worth something. But when you're looking at it and, you know, your Mitamamon SR is $1, well, I mean, you're already losing there, Chief, because that's a fucking SR. Melga X SR, $3. If unification means that these SRs will actually be worth money, like I don't know what an outrageous price is. And, you know, obviously this is my first card game, so Dan can speak to this a little bit more. Even if these SRs were expensive, or air quote expensive, you'd probably still be able to build these decks for less than $50. And I do think there is value in having sealed boxes be worth buying, such as BT12, one of my biggest things, because BT12, Shine Greymon's base or alt, Marcus's Quartzmon alt is $40. I'm sure Quartzmon regular art is like something like $10. Bro, Quartzmon regular is $15. Like, there is value in buying BT12 sealed. There's also still some value in buying BT14 sealed. And that's what I think is also going to benefit the card game outside of just us, the players. Maybe LGSs, because I wish that our LGS would sell Digimon singles, but it's not profitable for them, so they don't do it. I wish they would, though. And maybe this is what will get them to do it. Maybe this is what get other people to start doing it. Maybe this, you know, there's so much good that can come out of it, so much that I hope for, and the only thing we can really do is just wait and see, to be honest. I know I said we was going to talk about serialized Omnis, so we're going to talk about it real quick.
Yeah,
serialized Omnis, bro, them shits.
Yes. Usually it's 8 SRs.
Okay,
Sorry,
8 SRs.
I was just double checking.
No, you're good. Those serialized Omnis, my only gripe with them is that they use the artwork from the box topper BT5 Omni for the pose. But
with a different background.
It does look kind of fire. I'm not going to lie. It does look kind of fire. Yeah, with the different, but that's what I say. They only use the pose, but it is a different background and it's got the serialized number. It does look kind of fire. I'm excited. If I win one, the very first one that I win, I am not selling. I will never sell it. It will literally, I'm going to send that shit into PSA or BGS, getting that shit graded, because that is my trophy card. Like, that is what I want. These champion cards, they're cool and all, but like, it's like, oh, it just says champion. I could have just bought that. Serialized Omnimon? Nah, bro. I won, you know, number 14. I won number 186. Like,
for sure,
that is my card. That makes me so giddy and excited.
I bet because you know, TCG players are degenerates. I guarantee the most expensive one is going to be the 69 one.
Yep.
And 420.
That's what everybody says.
And probably 001. That'll probably be the other one.
If 000 is a number, I don't think it actually will be.
Oh, I don't know.
But if it is, that one will be expensive. If not, then 001. The very first one, 69, 420. Definitely going to be. Maybe even 500.
Maybe.
Definitely going to be expensive. I'm so excited. I was going to participate in regionals anyways, so this is just the cherry on top for me. And I know Dan feels the same exact way. Actually, Dan, did you know that the regionals that just went up for April are sold out?
Yeah, I signed up already for it.
Good. Unfortunately, it is a lower cap, so that's part of the reason why it's sold out. But I don't think, even if it was 512 at 384.
That's such a weird number.
It's really low, and I don't know why it's capped like that.
Does 384 give you 10 rounds? Is that why?
Probably. But again, I don't know why it was capped so low, because we haven't had them capped that low.
It's always been like 512
in a minute. Yeah, 512. So I don't know why it wasn't capped at 512, but even if it was capped at 512, it still would have sold out because of the serialized Omnimons. Like, that's what everybody's excited for. I remember arguing with people on Facebook. They're like, oh, this one guy, oh, serialized cards are going to be bad for the game because it's going to introduce scammers into the market, and Digimon doesn't need that. And, you know, it introduces arbitrary blah, 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 blah. Listen, bro, go back in your hole, stay below the earth, or wherever the fuck you come from, because I don't know what fucking shit you're on. Serialized cards, sure, I can't deny they will inevitably bring scalpers and scammers because it's just the nature of the cards.
Yeah, don't get scammed, bro.
If you are looking at everybody else excited for serialized cards and still thinking that there's a problem with it, then I don't know what your issue is. Because obviously, if people are excited for it, that means they wanted it. That means they want to play for it. And you're in a very small minority of people who find a problem with it. Maybe you should go play Lorcana. Have fun. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Serialized cards, I know a lot of people are very excited for it. Obviously, Dan and myself are one of them. Like I said, there's been nothing. Like, I won the regionals last year, and I sold my regional card set because the cards were so bad. I made a decent amount of money off of them. But outside of that, there's nothing else to tell me that like I won that regional. I don't look at anything in my room and be like, oh, cool. I remember when I got that.
Especially because you won in our early regionals, so you got the really garbage ones.
It was the worst one. Yeah.
Like if people who won like the later ones that got the War Greymon,
the actual alt arts,
that would have been a fantastic set to win a regional for, because you get those alt arts. And they were all really nice and all really good cards, not just the trash they gave us for the early ones for some reason.
Yeah. It's a travesty. I have no regrets selling those cards because I hated them. I didn't like looking at. They weren't even pretty to look at.
It's just the fact that you just like know they were trash like nobody,
cards.
No one in their mind will be playing Geo Greymon, the BT3 one. No one in their minds is playing the promo Greymon. When you have, in a Greymon deck, you're only playing that and Agumon, and people probably prefer the other versions anyway because that one had a cool art. I think it was like realistically, and like no one's gonna care about the XV. No one cares about any other ones. Like they chose all the trash ones for the main protagonist champions. Like, why would you even do that to us like that? You knew what you could have chose. You could have chosen them because we saw the Ulti Cups. You chose that the BT12 Guilmon line or BT11, whatever it was, and that was pre that set dropping. Why the F couldn't you have done that with those? You decided to do with that. But anyways, I digress because,
it's so infuriating. And now, not only do we get those champion stamped cards, but we get a serialized card. Something to put up on your wall and tell your kids one day, I remember when I won that card. Bro, that gets me so giddy. That's my goal this year. My goal is to win a serialized Omni.
Yeah, top 8.
Top 8. That's the goal. I wish we had some more IRLs.
Oh yeah.
Because winning one of those at an IRL
in person
would be the bomb diggity.
Oh yeah.
But my personal goal, it's whatever it takes. But it's whatever it takes. Whatever tournament I got to go through to win it, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't see how serialized cards. I guess that's gonna be the Q&A for this podcast. What do you guys think about serialized cards? How do you feel about the competitive season for 2024? Because as far as I'm concerned, that's the jolt that the game needed.
And also the regional packs are good regional packs as well.
Yes, they are very good regional packs. I mean, good lord. The event packs, I wish the event packs got alternate arts, which I'm so happy about. And I wish they had done that for the event packs. It's unfortunate, for the regional packs. It's unfortunate that they didn't, but I'm okay because I can see that there's improvement. We got serialized Omni, we got alternate art event packs. I'll take those as a win for now. I'm satisfied for 6 months. Let's come back and see what they do for the next round, because I believe they switch it up twice a year, so not even 6 months.
It was 3 because we had the regionals was the I guess so every quarter or every third.
Champions, the ultimates, and the megas, right?
Yeah.
So they'll switch it up twice this year. We'll see what they do after that. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a very good step in a new direction for the English meta. Which, speaking of, we have a new card game producer for the English version. Apparently, she was installed this year, and all the decisions thus far has me
based
like,
on her, seems like it's all like on her plate.
It's
She's
all
like,
on her, right? Keep it up, Chief.
Yeah. Keep doing your thing.
Like, I'm like, bro, like, I've had my gripes, but if you're heading up the English division and everything looks like this to start the year off, keep it up, Chief. The Double Typhoon fucking tournaments that are about to happen, those cards are insanely beautiful. The Imperial is ridiculous looking.
Oh my God. That Imperial is so beautiful. Like it's like basic because it's just a cover art of the movie.
Yeah.
But the fact they did it as a card and the texture and the hollow for it is so beautiful.
Goodness.
So beautiful.
It's so exciting. If you truly love Digimon, this is the year. This is our year. This is the year where we're like, all right, cool. Keep it up, Bandai. And we got to show out. You know, we got to show our love, show our support, because this is great. All of this stuff so far is great. And the only way to go is up. Like, we don't want to go back down. We got to keep it up. We got to be on their ass. We got to be like, give us this, give us that. Or maybe not necessarily demand it, but please, please give us this. Please give us that. Look at us, support us more. Especially if we're going to global unification, there's some level of success in this game that has them looking BT 21 and onwards. DBS just got their 21st main set, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it's their 21st main set or something in their early 20s. They have a plan for 2025 and beyond. Let's try to keep this card game alive for as long as possible. Anyways, we're at an hour 50. Let's cut it. Parting words is exactly what I just said.
Digimon's not dying. They got plans
Digimon
for
is
far
damn well
out.
not dying. This is the Digimon card game. The one that survived. That's how this card game is going to go down in history. It's the one that survived. So let's keep it up. You guys are great. The fact that you guys listen to this podcast says that Digimon is great. Until we talk to you guys the next time, I love you all. Peace out.
Catch y'all on the next one.